Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik neshel Shabbat.
Hello and welcome to Thought for the Day on Friday. I thought today we would look at the Sabbath, Shabbat, which is why we've just had the picture there of the candles and the traditional Hebrew blessing said over the candles as the Shabbat begins. Now, unlike the Sunday that we celebrate in the church as the holy day of the week, the Shabbat starts at around 6 o'clock on Friday evening and it finishes 25 hours later on Saturday evening. If you come to Israel, in the Orthodox communities, it's actually timed with the sunset, so that as the sun is going down and the new day begins, because the new day begins at sunset in Israel, then the Shabbat is timed with that, and those candles are lit normally by the woman of the house, the mother, and that blessing said, followed by a short liturgy reminding people that God said the Sabbath was to be kept holy. And at the end of the Sabbath evening service there is often bread and wine called Kiddush, and the bread and wine is blessed and then partaken in by all those who are present. I thought we would think about the Shabbat today as a little change from the usual readings that we look at, just because it's such an important concept, and when you come to Israel you'll see on Shabbat just how important that concept is. Pretty much everything stops, certainly in the Jewish areas, and in the very Orthodox areas it's very wise not to go in those areas and, for example, take pictures with cameras or even attempt to drive through them on Shabbat. It's quite strictly observed. Everything stops. In today's Israel there's no public transport, and certainly most of the businesses are closed, and it's taken very seriously. It's the day of rest, the Shabbat, a time to stop, really adhering to that commandment from the Ten Commandments that this is the Sabbath day and you shall keep it holy. What does holy mean? It means simply set apart. And so this day is set apart for God, and it is a reminder that God rested after 6 days in the creation of the world, and on the seventh day that he rested, and so he also tells us that we should rest once a week on the Shabbat. Now, as I've said, the church across the world celebrates the day of resurrection as Sunday, and so that's why in most churches the main liturgy, the main worship, you'll find on a Sunday. And in fact, if you go back in the history of Western Europe especially, Sunday was considered a day of rest, and like the Shabbat in Israel, shops were closed, everything was shut down, and it was a day for family, for going to church, and for resting and being with one another. It's really interesting, in modern Hebrew we don't talk about the start and end of the Sabbath, we talk about the entering to the Sabbath and the exiting from the Sabbath. And I think that's a really better way of saying than saying start or finish. We enter the Sabbath and we leave the Sabbath as we begin another new week. And for me that very much helps with a sense of journey into the Sabbath, into that period of rest and reflecting on God and spending time with loved ones, and then exiting that as we go into a new working week. And in Israel you'll see in fact that the shops all open on Saturday evening, and many people will go back to work. It's been the case already here that often I've had phone calls or emails start flying in after about 9 o'clock on Saturday evening, something which, coming from England, I've not been used to. So as we think about the Shabbat and that time of rest, I've just put together some video footage and some pictures of Israel to help you just sit quietly and reflect and think about how you might spend the Sabbath this week. God bless you, and Shabbat Shalom. Amen.